Hey guys, Loman02, currently getting ready to play a game of Old School against player Syntax16, a longtime commenter on some of my content on YouTube. I managed to loan him a version of the deck on MTGO, so pardon him, it's actually my cards he's playing with, so if you see some ugly trolling artwork, that's on me, not him. So we're going to be playing a deck mirror match here. So we went through some of the more convoluted explanations of how to get MTGO up and operational, how to conduct trades, how to import, export deck files. We're going to do a trade back. I may even do a separate piece on just like MTGO functionality for folks who play in the paper realm or on Xmage, etc. Thank you, brother. So we're going to be playing a game here. I don't know who's going to be favored in this. I did have his deck file. I didn't look through it extensively. I did happen to notice that he had 4 James Day tomes. Okay, well this hand's not keepable. It's a 1-lander in a control mirror. I mean, in the dark I wouldn't know it's a control mirror, but I still wouldn't keep this hand because it doesn't cast a single damn spell. So this is going to be a toss back, but luckily we're on the draw, which means that we have the ability to kind of recover from the inherent card loss. Yeah. Alright, so I do think, despite the UI being quite sophisticated to get into a game, I think in-game UI is not horrible. This is a mulligan. Gosh, this hand's not great, guys. Do I keep it? I think I have to mulligan this one, too. Okay, this is a keep. That's a bottom. And your go, brother. Hopefully we can hit a blue land and buy some time. Also do the Soul Ring. Obviously, Soul Ring wouldn't be bad with a Disrupting Scepter. Just get it down early. And given, the deck is going to be able to disrupt you pretty well. I mean, he could just go turn 1 Black Lotus, Soul Ring, Mind Twist, and just blow my hand apart. Okay, not exactly what we wanted to see. Another off-color and uncastable spell. So this first game is probably going to be going to him. We had some unfortunate mulligans there. And, well, that happens sometimes in any form of Magic. This is a high-variance format, though, so if you tend to get behind early, it's pretty easy to cement an easy game win for the person who stays ahead. I tend to think. Alright, well, basic planes. And again, sorry for the uglier artwork on his side if you are someone who appreciates that as opposed to just the technical part of the game. Alright, yep, I'm F6, I can't do anything about it. So what does he do here? I mean, if he time twisted me, I'd praise him, because this hand needs to be time twisted away. Alright, that's actually very good for us. That's actually great for us. So I'm just going to go to a time walk turn next turn. Probably play out what? Probably just like the Volk or the Underground Sea. Probably the Volk, just to keep my mana diversified. I don't really need red right now. Red's kind of for finishing in this game. I do have 1 Lightning Bolt and a couple Rebs, though. Alright, Mox. Soul Ring. Alright, well, he's got a lot of mana out, which means he can now... Actually, he only has 1 blue source, though. So next turn he could possibly have another blue source in hand and protect the resolution of a James Day tome. I'm going to go... Oh, we have a little bit of lag here. Go with this and just say, hey, I want another turn, because I'm pretty far behind. Although that Time Twister did, I think... I mean, it did a lot for him as well, obviously, but it's not hurting us either. So... Alright, we can counter spells for a long time. Is there any point to leaving up a City of Brass? Suppose it's technically correct to leave a City of Brass because I can cast Swords to Plowshares off of it. My assumption is, though, he's going to go James Day Tome or Disrupting Scepter. I'm going to counter it. I'm going to get counter spell back, and then I'm going to get the turn pass to me with him relatively tapped down. And I'm going to be in a position where I have to mize a disenchant effect, because a James Day Tome or a Disrupting Scepter from this position, if it was protected, that must have been his draw for the turn because he wouldn't have played on all the artifact mana if he had it, I don't think. That's still good for us. He's only stuck on 1 blue mana. That's one of the problems with running he has 2 basics in his deck. I don't run basics in my deck. Which is, yeah, it's a risk, but you have Disenchant to deal with Blood Moon, and you have Artifact mana to fix. I mean, it's greedy, but I think you have to play it that way. And nothing. Okay. Well, it's very possible. I mean, he probably has some number of disenchants in hand. I mean, go to cast a spell here. I don't think he has power sync in his build. All right, nothing. So there's two debates here. Like I really don't want to just jam out. I really got to get pressure on him right now because I'm behind on board. And I think the best way to do that is to get numerous Mishra's Factories going. Now, obviously, I could have also left up Mana Drain plus Counterspell, which if he draws a blue source this turn, could have been more correct because he probably is going to counter whatever I play. Or I'm sorry, he's going to counter my Counterspell if he has double blue. We'll see. Let's see if he can try to resolve something here. Yeah, it feels like it's a Jame Day Tome. So we shall see. Just going to counterspell this because I can't utilize the mana right now. Alright, come on. Come on, Moto. Catch up. Moto is operating relatively slowly today. Well, I think I'm just going to slam this. Always yield to this. That was a huge draw. That takes him way off library. He could Ancestral here, and that would be bad for us, but it wouldn't be the best. It basically means he ends this sequence with 2 more cards in hand. Let's see what we got. Swords to Plowshares, Drain, and another Tome. Yeah, I kind of felt like that's what... There may be a Disenchant in there as well. Now, if he just mises or has another Tome, that's going to really stink. The hope was there is that we just... the deck has so many dead cards in the control mirror. Alright, that's fine. It's mana, but it's just... that's all it is. So last card probably is a Disenchant. But I think I'm going to go for it. One card is going to be pretty hard for him to support on. Alright, that card's dead in this matchup. So what I'm going to do is just play on a factory, activate one of my factories... Probably get it Disenchanted or Swords to Plowshared. It's fine. But we got to start going for the jugular here because we don't have much else going on, and we have 2 decent control options against him. He could just have nothing else in hand, but I think he's got something. He's either got a Counterspell. Get him for the extra damage. Probably get STP'd or... oh, no. Okay. Well, he has probably Counterspell then. Because he wouldn't STP this thing after I pumped it. Okay. Well, we're going to give him the factory beatdown number here. So, the Twister, I think, was more questionable on his part. I see why he would want to do it. Alright, well, I think we wait for him to do something, and then we Brain Geyser. I don't think we're in a huge rush here. MTGO is kind of finicky. The front land card, in this case Manland, is the one that has Summoning Sickness. If you're ever uncertain as to which has it, you can also right-click on it and see Newly Controlled, so you don't accidentally activate it. That happens more than you'd think. It happens to me sometimes still. I played Moto for a long time. Yeah, twist is what. That was a top deck to victory right there. I mean, I'm not going to say otherwise. I mean, but like I said, it's a very swingy format. Like, we started off very far behind. Twist, Affirm, not a fun Magic card. Actually, we got his twist too. I wonder. I guess he didn't want to go for it. He knew I had double blue up. Double blue is going to be relevant in this matchup. So he's obviously running multiple Jane-Blade tomes. I'm running 2 tomes and 2 scepters. I disagree with the whole Factory thing. I mean, Factory is one of the iconic cards of this format, because it does allow Control to play creatureless. But I don't think that's entirely true. I don't think it's true that Factory should be restricted. I think if you're going to restrict cards, I mean, like, I don't know if you even ban cards. Like, this is Old School, so I mean, it's a very there's some variance to it, right? I mean, like, the game is a lot different if we don't draw that twist, but we did, so I don't know, man. I disagree. Yeah. I won't get into the debate on it. I'll ask him a very simple question that I think also explains, hey, there's very easy ways to deal with this card. One of these factories is likely to get blown up. I don't think I care, though. I think I just need to keep on going for the jugular here. Like, this, one player has to assume the aggro in this matchup. Because I feel like I have pretty good control over what he does next because of his restrictions. I mean, he does have 2 blue at this point. But this is a 2-turn clock, so he's got to interact with it, which means he can't just sit around and try to get back up on the library plan. The worst thing I could do is, like, not try to pressure him, like, try to just cast Brain Geysers out randomly. Like, he needs to tap his mana before I tap my mana, which means that I can get my Drain off. Drain means I can get a bigger Brain Geyser. It also means he's tapped down further. Like, this is what I mean when I say, like, you know, the games can be very shifty. Like, you know, one player, but I do think the twist was, like, the most questionable play. Like, I mulliganed to 5. So twisting me into a new hand, and like, people will keep bad 5s. Like, I had to keep a bad 5 there, I think. I mean, I don't think that hand was. I don't think you could throw that back and expect better in 4. But I do think that if you look at this game, the twister choice there, and it depends a lot on what he had in hand too. But I think that was the play that if we went back and said, hey, you know, like, outside of variance, like, what decisions were relevant, that's the one I would go to is the time twister turn. The Mind Twist is just variance. I drew it. It was obvious that I should play it there because my opponent had singular blue, so unless they're running Power Sync, which the deck tends not to, yeah. It is better than the Abysses in the Mirror, unless someone brings in, like, Seer Angel or something like that. He may just be on Stone Nothing, too, because like I was saying, I mean, like, the deck has a lot of, like, very dead draws against control decks. Like, Swords of Plowshares tends not to be, like, your best draw. Disenchant's fine. Like, the counter magic at this point is not worthwhile because I'm just beating down, right? Alright, so he's at 4 cards. Alright, well, he has to go down to 3 to deal with the onboard presence I've got right now. I mean, I could also do that, but I think what I'm going to do here is just force him to have it. And if he does, cool. If he doesn't, I'm not going to stop it. I'll let him kill one of these things, and then I'm still going to leave up Drain. I don't want to Drain and then have a bunch of mana without colorless resources on my second main. It's just not good. Not good business. Alright, STP or Disenchant. I mean, I suppose I could counter it, but it seems pretty obvious he's got counter magic. And, like, this forces him to interact every single turn, alright. Yeah, I could counter that, but, like, the chances of him having counter magic and having done nothing up until this point with 3 cards is very low. Like, he could be sacking lands, but I don't think you sack lands here either. I mean, just because, like, if you do draw, like, the regrowth for the Twister, like, you're probably going to want to do that and not have a lot of permanence in your hand still, because you'd rather have your permanents on the board. It means you don't have to draw them again off Twister. So So I do think if he has it, he plays it here. And now he's required to have two interactive spells to deal with my dudes. Alright, well, he's got a factory, so that means one interactive spell to deal with my dudes. Alrighty, well, factory is obviously a lot better on the defense than it is the offense. You'll note he was commenting on the rules for tapped damage. Historically, creatures that were tapped did not deal damage, so factory pumping itself to a 3/3, which obviously does make it better, was not a thing. Well, I assume that means he's probably dead here. Tundra's actually not a horrendous pickup here because what I'm going to do is I'm going to attack in. I'm probably going to STP his dude. Well, we'll see. I may just allow it to go, the block to go through. I'm going to allow the block to go through, I think. He can't pump this turn, so it would be a direct trade. And then if he has an answer to my Mishra's Factory, I'll probably counter into Regrowth Time Walk. Yeah. I think that's the line here. I think it's better to trade because I mean the clock stays exactly the same if I plow his other factory as opposed to exchanging it. All right, good game. Yep, just factory running amok. As you can see, factory pretty important in this matchup because it's not that it's hard to deal with for the deck, but you know that's why Wrath of God's really not a staple in this format. Because like factory is so ubiquitous in the format. Okay, well I'm going to take out the lightning bolts. Put in probably 2 of these. We have disenchant available right now, but I think in this matchup is balance good enough. Balance is very strong. I think I do want to take out 1 copy artifact and put in at a minimum 1 dust to dust. I think I may want 2. The question becomes, I think I do want the 4 copies of the rocks, Disrupting Scepter and Jame Day Tome. They may not look like much, and yeah, they're kind of clunkers, but they're very strong in this format. Especially in control mirrors, and it looks like he's better equipped with Jame Day Tomes than I am. I think I am going to put in a secondary dust to dust. But the question becomes, what do I cut? It could just be a Fel War Stone. I think I want the stone, though. Time Walk is decently marginal. I mean, I can't cut power. That can't be right. Maybe the answer is 1 Disrupting Scepter. Oh, no, the Abyss. The Abyss is horrible. Alright, so we basically have Fireball and 4 factories to get the job done here. Oh, this is a single strip mine build. Funny enough. Alright. Yeah, I think I may have rebuilt this for Swedish rules. I'm only playing with 1 mine right now. So normally if I was playing by Swedish rules, I'd have a larger mana base. I'd generally have 3 strip mines, 3 factories is kind of the mix that I like. I think it gives you enough colored resources. Like, I don't like not playing City of Brass. I think you have to play it in this deck. You assume a little risk when you use 3 Fel War Stones. I believe my opponent's using 2. So my mana base is going to be a little bit lighter than theirs is, and they also have 4 mines. That is a point of concern. I do think the Rebs are better than the Lightning Bolts, although Lightning Bolts do deal with the factories. If they have their factory draw, I believe they're on 4 as well. Factory's a funny card. I mean, Factory and Fireball are the only way this deck wins. So if you've seen my other content before, you'll note that, I mean, this deck hasn't changed a ton. Although, if we're playing by EC rules, which we're supposed to be right now, I would have more mines than 1. The good news is, though, I do have more colored resources in the deck because I don't have more mines. And the deck still is pretty mana-laden. I mean, if you look at it, it's a 19-land deck, which may seem trim, but I mean, you add the 6 on, you're up to 25 lands. The 6 power artifacts, you're up to 25, plus Soul Ring, 26, plus 3 Fel War Stones, 29. So, you know, just under half the deck is mana, which is not horrendous. Alrighty. So, and we'll see if we get another game in after this, and I'll play him with like a more aggressive deck. What do I think of this hand? I think this hand is keepable. It's not the best in the world, but it does have the Fellwar Stone on turn 1. My chance of drawing a mana resource are pretty high. I mean, again, like we said, half the deck is mana. I'm going to keep this. I think it's better than going to 6. Okay, Island, which, is not bad. That's what we want to see. It appears they have some... Okay, Ivory Tower. That doesn't really scare me. I don't think your life total tends to be that relevant in this matchup. I mean, it's very good at fighting off... I'm going to lead this. It's very good at fighting off factories, because the hand size will tend to be bigger. The problem is it's just a kind of an inactive card. It's not mana. It's not really card advantage. And yes, well, I did aggro him out last game. I don't think... Ivory Tower is weird in this deck. You really want Ivory Tower against, the decks that are all in on just lifing you. This deck can acquire card advantage. I can cycle my whole deck and continue to do damage, ad infinitum because of regrowth time twister. Well, let's see what they do here. They don't have white, which means disenchant is out. And it looks like they're just on the tower plan, gaining 1 a turn. So Counterspell or Drain are up at this point. I don't know if I just strip mine with Abandon here. I kind of want to get them to do something. I'm going to play the Volk out. And I think here, because I have access to the Counterspell with their mana base on my Fellwar Stone, I'm just going to get in for the 2 damage. This will put them at an even 20 on their next turn. What I really want to do is Counterspell something, and then draw for 3 with the Brain Geyser, which I think is good enough. I don't mind tapping out in the early game to get 3 cards off a Geyser. It's 2 for 1 essentially, which is good, or 3 for 1, I guess you could say. But a lot of mana, not very efficient. But this hand right now really wants white mana. I don't think I would disenchant the Ivory Tower though. I just don't think it bears enough relevance on the game on this specific matchup. If I was playing let's say Shops aggro, yeah, maybe. If Bolts and Curd Apes were my primary source of damage and I just had to dump my hand on the table to win the game, I would probably care a lot more about it. Alright, they have their own factory, which makes it more relevant that we get into some white mana. Although at this point I don't know if I would go for it. Okay, Dust to Dust, not horrific. I think here we just pass it. I'm going to blow up one of their mana resources here. Maybe I should have just blown up the island. I'll blow this up. Do I just draw 2 here? Okay. Okay, you got it. Now the hope is they don't have an additional on-color colored source, so they played the Mishra's Factory. And if they don't, we can get into a Geyser next turn for... If we draw a land, ideally 3, but if we don't, well, okay. They're back up to 21. That's fine. I should just auto-yield to this. Always auto-yield to that thing. Moto's getting a little slow. Alright, City of Brass. Well, it does fix my mana quite well. Matter of fact, maybe well enough just to attack them next turn with the Mishra's Factory, although I'll probably get counterspelled. I think this is the waiting game. I don't think I attack and try to force them to activate their factory. I guess I could. I'll get in there, because I have to tap down to 1. The worst case is that they just Swords to Plowshares it and then just say whatever. Alright, it gets in there for a little bit of damages. For a few damage points. Alright, and go. Come on, Moto. Catch up. Sorry, folks. Moto is not acting very pleasant right now. It's very laggy. Alright, please just auto-yield to this thing. Alright, and your go, my man. Okay, another City of Brass. Should I just disenchant this thing for efficiency's sake? No. Alright, City of Brass. Quite a good pickup there. Has tons of sound effects. I mean, you guys hopefully can't hear them right now. I have them in my headset, but I'm kind of weird that way. I actually like Moto sound effects. I'm just so used to them. Alright, so we're punishing firing our opponent out. We're doing 1 a turn with this thing for 2 mana. It is basically, well, punishing fire is 3 mana, but, alright, we're going to finally kill this thing. Alright, no, we're not going to kill it. Alright, secondary factory. Well, that means you probably got to hang back. They could fire up their own and start attacking. I'm going to do this for efficiency's sake. Just get rid of this thing. If they want to do it to my Fellwarstone, that's fine too. Countering this would not be a big deal to me. Just kind of tossing it out there. I have 3 disenchant effects in my hand. I don't feel like... I feel like I'm probably... If I keep this, I could hit a land, it'd be nice, but by a turn after that, I'm going to be discarding, and I think efficiency over the course of 3 turns is going to be more relevant than having my 4th disenchant effect. Although having a secondary target for Dust to Dust to work is nice. Well, now we basically just need to get them to make a mistake. Or one of us needs to top deck Ancestral and do that on each of the other players' end step. Maybe the variance conditions of 93, 94. Okay, nothing. Well, my opponent has obviously a fairly reactive hand. Happy to pick that up. Let's go ahead and toss it down. You can counter this if you like, but it's just mana, and obviously my hand's fairly reactive as well. We obviously assume a little bit of risk to dust as well, but what can you do? I'd actually rather have the Soul Ring blown up than the Fellwarstone here. I think the color fixing is more relevant than just the raw capacity. Now, given if I do get them to get into a fight on their turn, like if they try to slam a Jame Day Tome and I just blow it up or whatever, and I get to Geyser, then obviously my opinion would be a little different. I would rather have the Soul Ring available. The trick here is if we're in standoff, we just want to make we're playing land still, and you want to make land drops every turn. All right, Disrupting Scepter. This is a must counter and must blow up. And if it gets to resolve, counter. They can counter my counter or have a reb or something like that. That's fine. I'll just accept that. Yep, looks like they're going to counter it with a reb or with another counter spell. Okay, he's just making red. Okay, they're just casting another counter. Alrighty. I'm going to say okay to all that. So we managed to fleece, a decent amount of cards out of their hand. Obviously, we're down a counter spell, but we have a lot of decent onboard interaction as well as a Brain Geyser. Now we give them the turn back. They cannot play a Jame Day Tome. They could play a Disrupting Scepter, force a discard. I'll disenchant on end step after discarding Dust to Dust or Disenchant. I'm not sure yet. They could just slam in there with the Factories, which I'd be A-okay with. I'll just maybe disenchant one during combat phase. So we've gotten 2 counter spells out of their hand at this point. They're 5 cards, MD plus 2 more counter spells in their entire deck, and they're in the top quarter. Then we still just wait. I don't think waiting is going to hurt us. Yes, they have more cards in hand, but our mana is more well-developed than theirs is. Please start trying to pummel in there with the Mishra's Factory to attrit their mana base a little more, because they'll likely fire up Factories, try to fight us. Alright, fire up the Factory here. I'm going to try to get in. They're going to have to kill it with like a Disenchant or a Plow, which is fine, I think. It's just incremental chip damage and kind of bluff attacks that I like because... I mean, it's not truly a bluff attack. Like if they have the STP, I'm not going to counterspell that. And they may even do it end step here. I'm just trying to make them make a mistake so I can get this Geyser off. Because Geyser, I think, is what gives me inevitability in this game. I'm ahead on mana, and if I can get ahead on that many cards, it'll be pretty well set up, I think. What I think that would be good for me is if they just slam a Disrupting Scepter, which is an enticing play because they'll be able to slam Disrupting Scepter plus activate it, but they'd be tapped out. And I don't even think I'd counterspell that. I think I would allow it to resolve and then discard like either Dust to Dust or Disenchant, and then disenchant it down their end step, and then just go for a massive Geyser on my turn. Like the best for us would be if they just slam a Jame Day Tome right and can't activate it. Like that would be stellar because we just blow it up on end step and then go into a pretty big Geyser turn. Also, outside of plowing your own Factories, it's nigh impossible to gain life in this in this deck. I guess I'm sorry. He has Ivory Tower, obviously. I am not used to seeing that in the mirror match. Okay, well that card is a threat. Go ahead and draw some cards here, see what they have to say about that. I don't think I Geyser here. My hand's pretty full, even though I'm not as happy with all the cards I have in it, but meh. Yeah, they can start librarying, but we know that there are 2 counters out of their deck. There's only 1 counter out of our deck. Yep, you got it. And technically, I guess we are ahead on cards. Alright, Strip Mine, cool. Wonder if my opponent brought in Blue Elemental Blast. I mean, they could have, because Fireball is a pretty typical win con. Cop R could be a thing as well. The deck mirror matches are always interesting. To say the least. I think they're very fun. And it's hard to say who's ahead right now. I mean, I'm obviously deeper in my deck, but my opponent does have an active library that, unfortunately, because I'm on a Swedish version of this deck, only has one strip mine in it right now, which is in my graveyard. So regrowth would be a nice pickup because I could just get that mine back and stop this nonsense. But alright, opponent is going to cast something here. We're going to see a Jayemdae Tome, a regrowth. On what? On that? Is that worth countering? Like, why would they go for that? That's a strange regrowth target. Because they're doing it, I'm going to counter them. That must be valuable to them. I'm going to go for a Geyser, I guess. I'm not going to try to attack. It's a waste of 2 mana because they'll just strip mine it for 1 mana, essentially. Quote unquote. I mean, if that's what they are going to regrowth, though, like, I'm okay with that. And then if they have another counter spell, I guess they're going to next level me and they'll get the Geyser on this next turn. Well, I guess they won't. Going 6. Alright, I like this. I'm not going to go for a DT this turn. I'm going to leave some of my mana up. I'm going to discard a bunch this turn, which is fine, I think. So I think what we do here is we're going to save the Scepter. We can get rid of this. This is not feeling good right now. One of these. Probably, well, maybe one of these. And one of these. And call that good. Yep, you get to library this turn. Okay, another strip mine. Well, the Psychic play would have been to allow them to regrowth the counter spell, but we're not quite Psychic. We didn't know we were going to draw that Reb. Alright, nothing? Alright. Well, I would have figured we fought a little bit there, but I guess they want her to stay on the library plan. DT is my ticket to getting them off the library plan, which I don't want them to be on. Suppose I can combat it with a Jayemdae Tome, but I would rather keep them off of cards than get myself into more. I think that's actually, sadly enough, more relevant, because I think my hand's better than theirs is. If they're regrowthing for a counterspell, it means unless they hit one in their next 2 draw steps there, off of library plus their draw step for the turn, they don't have any. And they're maybe possibly debating if they want to drop a Jayemdae Tome here. Should they do? I probably counterspell, because I have 2 counterspells and 1 disenchant. I'd like to have more ways of dealing with the factories here. Or not. I'm going to let him do this. And I'm going to, on end step, disenchant it. Take my first damage of the game. Yep. Counterspell stops anything. Disenchant stops things on the board, right? So, like, I feel like they have it cool. Go ahead and do it. Alright, well, we're going to do this. DT. For regrowth, likely. I mean, I guess I can. I'll just regrowth. I guess I could do. Yeah, recall was probably more technically correct. I just want the strip mine right now, though. I only have one of these in the deck. Probably wondering why I'm doing this. I could just actually have gone for the other strip mines if I, did not only have one. Yeah, I'm just explaining because it would look like sketchy play if I went for the regrowth as opposed to just going for another mine. All right, come on, Magic Online. Play this thing out and say go. I'm not going to force him to discard this turn. Okay, more factories. So they have the beatdown plan online if they want to go that way. If I get an untap with the Scepter, I feel very good. If I have to fight over a bazillion disenchants and counter, or if I have to counter a bunch of stuff this turn, I'm not going to feel as good. Their hand is kind of just nonsense, which we know it doesn't have counter magic, but the chance of it not having like anything at all, probably going to take this beating. I think I leave up double counter. Well, maybe not. Oh, they tapped the wrong one. Ooh. Well, they can still get in there for 4, but yeah. Alright, well, if they're passing the turn, their hand must be hot rubbish. I'm still open to mize. My hand is just all reaction. There's not really a great way to win here, but this is the deck. I mean, like, we're not really about, like, winning. We're about just, like, prolonging the game out to, like, a point of complete and utter misery, right? Alright, factory. Yup. These two. Yup. Pretty soon you're going to see Factory Wars. Factory Wars are great. I mean, we'll just get double strip mined, but and start chewing their hand apart. And here's where we try to start pulling ahead. Okay, Plains. Well, that's not a hugely relevant one, but it is no longer on their board. So when it comes time for Twister, ideally our draw is Liver. I just noticed, too, we are extensively further into our library than our opponent is. We're, yeah, close to 10 cards more deeper, 9 deeper. I don't think Shuffler's that bad. I mean, yeah, well, I complain every once in a while, sure, but I mean, like, that's Magic. I mean, sometimes you just get unlucky. You know, we had like a weird like variant storm draw the other night in Cube Draft where, you know, I ended up the last like 13 cards in my deck had one land in them in a 40 card deck with 16 lands. Probabilities of that are extremely low. Like, I don't know what the percentile is, probably 20 or below percentile probability. I could do the math and find out. Maybe even lower than that, but not very high, right? And that happens, you know, but that's just Magic, right? Like, it is a complete and utter randomization. I don't think the Shuffler's that bad, though. I mean, I think the Shuffler is fine. Like, I'll complain about it as much as the next guy, I guess, but not in earnest or not, you know, not with any sort of conviction in my heart of hearts. Well, I like seeing that get played out because that means they have one less card that's relevant in their hand. All right, they're not going to go for the attack here. I think they do need to start pressuring me. Like, I think they need to blow up my factories with the mines and start just like hammer fisting me with their factories. I think I do play my Tundra out, but leave my Ruby in hand. What is that susceptible to, though? That's susceptible to Mind Twist. Alright, Moto, play my land. Yeah, I mean, that's just Magic, man. Right. Well, we need to start getting some live draws here. They're aptly keeping lands in hand at this point. Well, I don't know if it's apt. Like, the thing is, if, like, what gets... I'm probably going to have to Twister, because, like, I guess I do have, what, 2 more STPs, 1 more Disenchant, 1 more Dust to Dust. I don't think I brought in Divine Offering for Factory. I do have 2 factories to block, but they can double mine me on end step here and try to just go to the face. So I think they kind of have to. Like, I'm not going to play the Ruby and the Sapphire round. I may do that if I get into a twist turn, but I don't think before then. The ideal draws would be like a James Day Tome. James Day Tome would just seal this up. Like, the Rod is pretty good on its own, but when you get both of them going, like, it's generally speaking inevitability time. Okay, Black Lotus. That is cool. Well, it looks like they're going to try to do something of, you know, relevance this turn. They could just be firing up their factories. Hard telling. Alright, they're going to blow this up and do what? They have an Underworld Dreams? That'd be a hilarious sideboard card. I know they don't. I put their deck together, so I guess we know that's not true. Could be a twist. Twist and shout time. I mean, this is a must counter because it's Mind Twist, almost assuredly. Maybe I wanted to keep 1 more Disenchant over 1 Swords to Plowshares. I don't know. Like, the upside of Swords to Plowsharing at Mishra's Factory is that I do think at some point in time I may have to twist because I'm below them on cards, which will put them back up to a full hand, but I would rather them not draw factories because they are one of their relevant threats. Like, it's like either those or like Fireball is going to kill me. And Fireball just takes a lot of mana to make happen, right, obviously. Okay, cool, no thanks. Alright, counterspell of their own, possibly a Reb. Alright, Reb. Yep. Okay. These kind of attritional fights are going to benefit the player with the Scepter in play. Like I said, though, I think he probably needs to be taking this on an axis along the lines of tempo and not card advantage and utilizing those factories to greater extent. Well, there's a reason to keep Moxes in your hand. So we can get Geyser, Ancestral, Counterspells. I actually don't really want to use the Disrupting Scepter here because I like, if you want to be technical, like, yes, if you thought they had counter magic, you should. If they had counter magic, they would have just mind twisted my hand, though. And here I want to leave the mana up because I do want to Ancestral. So what is the pickup here? It's Ancestral. Alright, so this. Ancestral, Counterspell, Geyser. Ancestral. I think this may be the concession speech. Yeah, it's probably good enough. Yeah, only if you. I guess it could also make you draw out. So if someone brings in like Kapar or Beb, another trick is you can just like play a very long attritional game, especially in this control mirrors, and then just eventually bring guys with them out. You're not going to cop blue that thing. It's just going to make you draw your whole deck, and well, then you lose. Alrighty, well, next time we play, we'll probably see it on X-Mage. This has been a mirror match between two versions of the deck. My opponent playing their version, me playing one of mine, Swedish, obviously. The lack of strip mines actually was a detriment here because I think my opponent had a very strong option to just go aggro with their factories and really put my back against the wall. And I think that's what they kind of had to do. I think they had to figure that transition out because they weren't going to beat the Scepter on cards after I was able to take care of their library. And the position that I was going for of inevitability, we kind of achieved this. We're achieving right now. We're not quite there. They have a couple more draw steps. But post-recall with an Ancestral on the stack and a Brain Geyser in hand and a Counterspell and an STP, we're like 95% to get there. I mean, we could miss, but we're likely not to. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it there, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video of the deck versus the deck. This is Syntax's first time playing MTGO, and maybe I think next time we try to record, we'll do it on X-Mage. I think he's more familiar with the client, and it's free. So I have to get that figured out. I will try to do so. All right, guys, enjoy, and take care now.